It is 0 hour 30, Universal Time. I'm Jim Tedder in Washington. The Israeli military says troops have captured 2 Hezbollah guerrillas. Israeli Army radio says the guerrillas were captured in the South Lebanese village of Marun al-Ras. Israeli forces seized the area last week. The radio report says the prisoners were taken back to Israel. The report says they were the first ones Israeli forces have taken in its new offensive. Israel started the operation after Hezbollah kidnapped 2 Israeli soldiers and killed 8 in a cross-border raid July 12th. On Sunday, Israeli military airplanes bombed parts of Lebanon as Hezbollah fired more than 90 rockets into northern Israel. Saudi Arabia has asked President Bush to support calls for a ceasefire in the conflict in Lebanon. Saudi Foreign Minister Prince Saud al-Faisal told reporters about the request after his meeting in Washington with President Bush and Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice. President Bush has resisted calls for an immediate ceasefire. He says Israel has a right to defend itself. Ms. Rice is leaving for Israel before attending an international meeting in Italy on Wednesday. Officials at that meeting will discuss the Middle East situation. Expected to attend are officials from the United States, the European Union, the United Nations, France, Britain, Russia, Egypt, and Saudi Arabia. The chief of the United Nations Humanitarian Agency says he is still waiting for Israel to guarantee safe passage for aid vehicles into southern Lebanon. Jan Egeland told reporters from Beirut that hundreds of thousands of people in southern Lebanon are in need. Earlier, he said Israel's air attacks on southern Beirut violate humanitarian law. Mr. Egeland said Israeli military actions seem extreme in an area with so many civilians. Israel says it is trying not to harm civilians. It has blamed Hezbollah for operating in crowded civilian areas. Thousands of people are fleeing Lebanon. More than 25,000 have arrived on Cyprus in the past week. The island has appealed for European financial aid. Bomb attacks in Iraq have killed more than 60 people. 2 separate explosions killed 42 people in the Sadr city area of Baghdad. And a bomb in Kirkuk killed 20 people near a courthouse. Earlier, Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki arrived in London to prepare for talks with British Prime Minister Tony Blair on Monday. The Iraqi Prime Minister will visit Washington on Tuesday for a meeting with President Bush. In other news, Iraqi officials say former President Saddam Hussein is being treated in a hospital. He has refused to eat for more than 2 weeks. The ousted Iraqi leader is to return to trial in Baghdad on Monday. Israeli doctors report the worsening of the health of former Prime Minister Ariel Sharon. A spokesman for the hospital treating Mr. Sharon says the doctors are concerned about a change in the condition of his kidneys and brain. The hospital in Tel Aviv says doctors are doing tests that will help them decide Mr. Sharon's future treatment. Mr. Sharon suffered a stroke on January 4th. You are listening to the news in VOA Special English. A local official in Afghanistan says security forces and suspected Taliban fighters have clashed in southern Helmand province. The official says 19 Taliban members were killed in the violence near the provincial capital Lashkar-Gah. 17 others were captured, including 2 Pakistanis. In eastern Paktia province, a bomb explosion wounded 2 coalition troops and 1 Afghan soldier. In Pakistan, officials say they have expelled 58 Afghans for suspected links with Taliban militants. They were among more than 200 Afghans held last week in Baluchistan province as part of a larger operation aimed at capturing Afghans living illegally in Pakistan. Albania says it has seized more financial property belonging to Jordanian businessman Abdul Latif Saleh. The United States has accused Mr. Saleh of taking money from Osama bin Laden to create a terror group in Albania. His name is on a list that requires United Nations members to enforce travel bans and block the property of suspects. The Albanian Finance Ministry also says it has seized the financial property of at least 5 Islamic organizations operating in Albania. The ruling party in Taiwan has agreed to new rules following a series of wrongdoing charges. The Democratic Progressive Party approved the rules near the end of a party meeting. They call for a committee to question members accused of wrongdoing. The committee will have the power to suspend or end the party membership of those found in violation. Opposition leaders have been calling for the resignation of Taiwanese President Chen Shui-bian. He has not been named in the involvement of any wrongdoing, but his wife was recently named in an investigation, and his daughter's husband was accused of illegal stock trading. In sports news, American Floyd Landis has won the Tour de France bicycle race. He finished the race in Paris 57 seconds ahead of Oscar Pereiro of Spain. Andreas Klirden of Germany was third. Golf champion Tiger Woods of the United States has won the 135th British Open golf tournament at Holyoke, England. It is Woods' third British Open victory. He defeated American Chris DeMarco by 2 shots. Ernie Els of South Africa was third. And now, briefly, here again is the major news of the hour. An Israeli military report says troops have captured 2 Hezbollah guerrillas and taken them back to Israel. Iraqi officials say bomb attacks across the country have killed more than 60 people. And a local official in Afghanistan says security forces and suspected Taliban fighters have clashed in southern Helmand province. And that's the news in VOA Special English. From Washington, This is Jim Tedder reporting.